Hey, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Friday, October 8th. So the moon is going to be in Scorpio all day. Again, the moon in Scorpio, deeply emotional, deeply intense and passionate, deeply wanting to find the deep-seated answers and reasons for why it is we think and feel the way that we do. It is a very probing energy, as the detective of the zodiac should be. And we are definitely putting the pieces together, especially coming out of the new moon energy, out of Pluto going direct, and out of Venus shifting in Sag energy. We have a lot of new information to work with. We're sorting through it. We're processing it. We're putting the pieces together. We're gaining a lot of clarity. And this moon in Scorpio is going to help us do the inner work necessary to get realigned with the new realities in which we're living in. And of course, the new dreams and visions that we're getting to work on actually manifesting. So we see in the night sky that there's a little glimmer of hope. The moon is now very small, but very visible in the sky, which means that that is our green light go to start making some moves in our daily lives, to start bringing some of the new moon intentions that we had set out for ourselves into reality. With this kind of green light go in the sky, we get to see our outer realities become a little bit more active. And that is a good thing, because many of us need to really fast forward through this particular chapter to start seeing elements actually manifest, actually become tangible in our waking lives, in order for us to remain hopeful and optimistic that we're on the right track, we're doing the right thing, and that the universe is listening to our prayers. So right out of the gate, we have the sun conjunct Mars. Now, let me tell you, this is a powerful aspect for a couple of reasons. First of all, the sun is our life force. It is our will. It is where all of our energy and attention is needed. It illuminates where it is that our attention and energy is needed. Now, Mars, on the other hand, the god of war, ruling over our energy, our drive, our passion, our desire, our will, and determination, Mars is in Libra, having a little bit of a time because, of course, Libran energy wants to think about both sides of the coin before taking action, and Mars just is not about that. But what is even more fascinating is the fact that the sun and Mars, when they conjunct, when they sit next to each other, when they meet up with one another in the sky, this sets a brand new cycle for 2 years, because, of course, Mars is a planet that takes 2 years to go in its orbit before returning to the exact same position. So anytime that the sun meets up with any planet, this is like a ding, ding, ding. This is the green light go for a brand new chapter, a brand new cycle to lock in these particular energies. So what does this mean for us? Well, the sun is in Libra, Mars is in Libra. We are fighting for balance, fighting for fairness, fighting for justice. We are speaking up, speaking out, telling our stories, speaking the truth. We have a voice that needs to be heard. Mars, of course, wants to back those thoughts, those opinions, that voice up with a whole lot of muscle, a whole lot of action. And for the next 2 years, we will likely see a huge, huge uprising in the voice of the people. And you know what? Not a better time for this energy to actually start to manifest. So this is definitely going to be a long-term effect for us, but here today, this likely will trigger us in a lot of ways. First of all, if we're on the right side of the energy, we can use this to really bump up our confidence, our esteem. We can bump up our will, our desires, our passion. However, we might be on the wrong side of this energy. It can be overwhelming and tip us into the point where our intensity, our passion, our desires come out as anger, frustration, irritability. Seeing as both of these planets are in Libra season, and Libra is all about balance, and we've been exploring that we only find balance by living in extremes, we can expect this to be a blast, a surge of energy that will likely do a number on our physical bodies. Again, please check into the Ascension symptom forecast for the week to remind yourself that the physical symptoms that you're currently experiencing, 100% triggered by the energy coming in from the cosmos. So the moon in Scorpio decides to bump into Chiron, the wounded healer. This is literally an opportunity for us to realize our pain, our trauma, our wounds, where it is that we need to actively take a little bit stronger of a position to try and heal some of these things. And I believe, honestly, I believe that the energy of the day is going to provide us with an external trigger coming from someone else, coming from a situation outside of us, that is really going to rub us the wrong way, really activate some very intense emotions and thoughts and maybe even reactions if we're not quick enough to act as the observer. And this particular situation, again, triggering the extreme thoughts and emotions within us, can really provide us an opportunity to say, whoa, okay, whoa, there it is. Those wounds are alive and well. Going to have to do something about that. This is literally a learning opportunity for us to realize, whoo, don't know where that came from. That was a burst of energy that I didn't have control over. And again, give us a good gauge on where it is that we need to pour our energy and attention into addressing some of these inner triggers and inner wounds. The moon goes ahead and makes a very beautiful aspect with Pluto. This is a good thing because Pluto rules over Scorpio energy. So the moon in Scorpio wants us to transform, wants us to alchemize the darkness into light, the pain into power. Pluto, who is just fresh in his direct position, is now saying, okay, you sat in your depression, in your grief, in your sadness, in your victimhood for the last 5 months. You're ready to boss up. You're ready to do something about it. You want to make a move. You really want to put a certain death to that old narrative, those old emotions, that old little topic and theme that you've been sitting in for too long. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? This, again, is a little bit of a tough love situation where I feel like many of us need to be bullied and backed into a corner to a point where we don't want to take anymore in order for us to stand up and do what's right and fight for ourselves. And this is exactly what the moon bumping into Pluto is going to offer us. We get a huge blast, a huge shift of energy when the moon opposes Uranus. So Scorpio and Taurus energy sit across from one another. The moon in Scorpio is sitting across from Uranus, the great awakener, in Tauran energy, but retrograde, really shaking up our relationship status, shaking up our careers, our resources, the way that we make money. Many of us, and I'm not going to use the word because I think you all know what I'm talking about, but many of us are put in a position right now where we could be having to step away from our jobs, from our career, from our financial security if we are not willing to bend over backwards and let the you-know-who's do the you-know-what to our little bodies. Okay, this is a very tough time for humanity, and I'm going to encourage you to continue to hold the line. This Uranian energy wants to shift our perspective, wants to create a shift within us. The moon in Scorpio is all about it because, of course, we have to feel uncomfortable before it is that we can actually make a change. And we're feeling pretty uncomfortable right now in our physical realms, in our mental planes, in our heart space. There is no lack of discomfort around these corners, around these walls here as of late. And this Uranian energy wants to zap us, wants to say, hey, when are you willing to do something about it? When are you willing to address this? When are you willing to shake things up to a point of chaos in order for you to realize that you truly need stability in some of these areas? So this is a little bit of a tension point, I would say, because this Uranian energy also rules over rebellion. And we all know there's plenty of opportunities to rebel this day and age. We also are going to find our inner rebellion kind of stand up against the part of us that is still kind of weak, still kind of whiny, still kind of vulnerable. You know, we're not having that kind of energy here and now, especially not with the Scorpio energy, definitely not with the Uranian energy. So we are going to feel a little bit at odds. We are going to have to bully ourselves into a place where we are ready to actually make a change. And of course, that change begins in our heart space and in our head space. The moon bumps into Mars. Mars also rules over Scorpio energy. And the moon in Scorpio right now, very intense, very passionate, almost to the point of obsession with certain topics and themes that are on our heart and on our head. Mars, of course, in Libra, wanting to exert himself in the intellectual battlefield, trying to charm his way through technically manipulating whatever needs to happen in order for people to see our side, for us to take a little bit of a step forward and being a little bit more aggressive with sharing our thoughts, sharing our feelings, giving other people an opportunity to respond to what it is that we have to say, to respond to how it is that we are actively pursuing new goals and new dreams. Of course, trying to be fair, of course, trying to be balanced, but also, of course, with these particular energies, things can get a little bit extreme very, very quickly. The moon in Scorpio bumps into the sun in Libra. This is going to be a little bit of a tension point because, well, Scorpio energy is all about extremes and Libran energy is all about balance. And the moon in Scorpio wants to get the heart and the head and the soul all on the same page. And the moon in Libra is just unsure on how to do that. This is likely going to be amplified. This inner conflict, this inner struggle is going to be amplified by the irritation coming in from our exterior realms. There is a lot of triggers coming up for us in order for us to see where it is that we're still very reactive to certain topics and themes, emotions being triggered. And of course, we have to explore where it is that these wounds are still wide open in order for us to recognize where more effort and energy needs to pour into healing, balancing, stabilizing these thoughts and feelings that we're currently overwhelmed with at this particular point in the day. We get a little bit of help because the moon in Scorpio harmonizes with Chiron, the wounded healer. This is after, the inner workings of our mind, body, and soul and the triggers of our exterior realm. This is an aha moment where we're like, damn, yeah, no, I get this. I see this loud and clear. I see where it is that I'm being activated. I see where it is that I'm being triggered. I have even connected the dots back to past pain and past trauma, leaving me in a state of vulnerability, feeling weak, feeling out of control. This is why I'm reacting this way. And the minute that we can piece it all together and connect the dots is the minute when magic happens inside of us, our friends, and we get to see huge shifts in our mental plane, in our heart space, and that is going to help us shift our energy, vibration, and frequency to take the right kind of actions to cut out the past patterns and behaviors of the ego reacting. Instead, we know now we have to step back and act as the observer and just see the greater, grander lesson that is actually at play. The moon in Scorpio is going to bump into Mercury, who of course is retrograde in Libran energy. Now, Mercury being retrograde, of course, is bringing up the past, especially with topics and themes where relationships are concerned. I feel like if you were in a very shallow relationship, a toxic, unhealthy relationship, it's likely coming to an end right now. It's going to take a lot in order to hold on and remain a little bit stable in order to get through this period. And we haven't even gotten into Scorpio season yet. So Mercury is also bringing up issues from the past, not only in relationships, but also where justice, where fairness has not been served. And again, we have a lot of repressed emotions within us that we have had to just compartmentalize. Why? Because it doesn't feel good to acknowledge the fact that we've given our power away and that we are semi-responsible for our pain, our trauma, and our suffering. And so this particular energy, I hate to say it's a good thing because it doesn't feel good, but bringing up all of these repressed thoughts, memories, emotions, pains, experiences, traumas, where, love is concerned and worth and value is concerned and biting your tongue and not advocating for yourself, this is a good time to unearth some of these past issues, because the moon in Scorpio wants to examine it to death and make it right, wants to put it and frame it in such a way that we can accept what has happened to us in the past in a totally different mind frame and heart space, in order for us to actually heal that part of us that has remained in the deepest, darkest parts of us, normally unaddressed, normally unacknowledged. So Mercury goes ahead after this little, blast from the past that we get to have an opportunity to heal. Mercury goes ahead and bumps into the true node. The true node is trying to show us, again, what path we need to be on in order to get to where it is that we're going. We have new dreams, we have new visions, we have new goals. But for the most part, we have to take a little bit of action in order to actually get in alignment with that actually being a possibility of manifesting. Now, Mercury, or retrograde, again, being kind of asleep at the wheel, if you will, Mercury bumping into the true node just wants to revise the plans because it doesn't feel good. What we thought felt good just a month ago, what we thought made sense just a month ago, doesn't make sense anymore. It actually feels gross. It feels uneasy. It feels unbalanced. Now we have to say, okay, we have to start from scratch. Yes, we did the work in Virgo season in order to focus on the details, get a plan together, calculated, strategized, in order to see the pieces come together. And now we're not so sure. Now we're like, time out, I'm indecisive again. Of course, a very strong Libran trait. We're very undecisive. We're uncertain. We're having a lot of doubts. We need more time. We need to balance the scales between the pros and cons. We're just unsure. So now it's kind of like we have to revisit our plans, make some revisions. We have to wait for a little burst of clarity to actually show us where it is that we can create a detour that will put us on a path that is much easier than the one we initially thought we were going to follow. The moon trines Neptune. This is a beautiful energy because the moon in Scorpio, water, trine, beautiful energy with Neptune, retrograde in Pisces, also water. Our intuition is very high. Our higher self is very strong. The information coming in from the higher realms, the universe, the higher intellect, these aha moments, these downloads of inspiration, they're very strong. And this is exactly what we need, especially revisiting our plans and re-strategizing what it is we actually want to do. This is going to give us the gut feeling that we need to know that, the details might not all make sense right now, but I know that I'm on the right track. We have a new meaning, we have a new purpose, we have a new calling, we have new information to work with, we have new paths unfolding. We have new adventures about to begin, and this is going to give us the gut feeling, the intuitional feeling that we need to know that, things might be hella cray-cray here in the physical realm, but I know in my gut, in my heart, in my soul, that I'm onto something here. I just have to be a little bit more patient. Now, the moon, for its last little hurrah here for the day, is going to square Jupiter. Now, a square is a crisis point. It's a tension point. It doesn't feel good. The reason why it happens is, of course, we need to be uncomfortable in order to make a great change. Jupiter, of course, the planet of growth and expansion, just wants to push us out of our comfort zones in order to see what is actually possible. When we open our hearts, we open our mind to the possibilities. But Jupiter is also a little bit extra. He turns the volume all the way up on our thoughts, all the way up on our feels. And Jupiter, who is still retrograde in Aquarian energy, is trying to really show us the bigger, grander vision here, the bigger, grander path, the bigger life lesson. And so the moon in Scorpio, who of course is just sitting there waiting for little tidbits of information, putting the detective hat on, really asking the right questions, really diving in our heart space, in our head space to ask the right kind of questions to kind of get more information, because of course more knowledge and information means that we gain more clarity. But the pressure that we're feeling right now in order to have all the answers can be a little bit intense, can be overwhelming, it can be damn near debilitating. So because we just got that gut reaction from the moon bumping into Neptune with our higher self, recognizing that we have to be patient, this particular energy from Jupiter is just not helping, because Jupiter is kind of like, screw being patient. We want it now. We want answers now. We want clarity now. We want a plan now. Well, guess what? The plan is not coming. The ideas, the topics, the themes, the information needs a little bit more time. We're going to get huge amounts of clarity. We have to just recognize that the moon, go out, take a look at the moon. It's just but a little sliver in the sky. The bigger the moon gets, the more clarity we get, the more opportunity for action we get. But right now, we're just in the beginning phases. And unfortunately, patience isn't a virtue that we were born with in this moment, but it's the absolute answer to what it is that we need to do. We need to hold up. We need to pull back on the reins. We need to be patient with this current situation, this current circumstance, and trust that the answers are coming.